Senator Cantwell, are you like to proceed?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for allowing me to ask questions. I'm sorry I wasn't here earlier. Mr. Trade Ambassador, I was chairing another hearing on NOAA fisheries issues, and wanted to ask you, you were obviously very involved in the World Trade Organization, the U.S. against Europe, in subsidies to Airbus, and I'm particularly interested in when a final decision will be rendered in that area.
Senator, first of all, thank you for the continued interest and assistance you and the entire Michigan delegation have given us on the Airbus issue. This was too long coming, but as you know, we got the initial panel ruling last August. It is now back for final review. We've submitted our comments. The European Union has, and literally we're hopeful within the next several weeks that the appellate body would give us the final ruling on the first part of that complaint. The European Union would have the right to appeal that, but I know how important this is to you, and we'll be more than happy to keep your staff apprised of further developments of it.
Thank you. Well, we think it is important in getting a final decision. I mean, given that we're having discussions here about the U.S. government buying basically what you and others have fought hard to say has been an illegally subsidized plane, and people are concerned that if that illegal subsidy continues, then basically it's putting U.S. manufacturers at a disadvantage. If that subsidized plane, now declared by WTO as unfair subsidies, is the government putting a plane that's financed illegally on the table, that could be a disadvantage in the tanker competition, because they can make the plane as cheap as they want. They can make the plane, the bottom line number, as cheap as they want because the government is continuing to bail them out. Yeah. And so getting clarity on this is very important, so appreciate that. I noticed the President's 2000 trade agenda that the ROZ bill was not part of that, the Reconstruction Opportunity Zones for Afghanistan and Pakistan. So I wondered if it is still part of the trade agenda and getting that legislation passed.
Senator, it is, and it's appropriate you asked that. I just want to recognize that Chairman Kerry was here and expressed his very strong support for us moving forward on that, and he had to leave, so this is the first opportunity I've had to respond. But we thank you for your leadership on this and want to pledge our continued efforts to see if we can't work to resolve and bridge the differences on how we would treat whatever labor standards so we can move this forward. It is, I am well aware and conscious of the fact that I'm only here because Congress mandated that we create an office and that I look singularly at the trade components as opposed to those that affect security or others, but it is not lost on us the importance of getting this done in a part of the region in which everyone from our Secretary of Defense to the President recognizes that having some opportunity for employment not only helps achieve a trade goal, but could be critical to our national security.
Well, I think that is what our defense and intelligence agencies are telling us, that if we want to stem the tide of future efforts against the United States, that having economic opportunity in the region will do that, and certainly. So you think this year is the year to get this done?
You know, we said, like, in this environment, I think giving timetables is difficult. I believe, I'm hopeful that we're closer, and with the dialogue, as you know, we've been having with you and Chairman Levin and Grassley and others, hopefully we can find some acceptable compromise that will allow us to look. It needed to have been done, frankly, last fall. It needed to have been done in December. As long as we have our brave American troops on the ground risking their lives, I think we should do everything we can to help them.
So
this can be a tool to get it done.
It still is a priority then for 2010?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. One last question. What are the administration's plan to help us in the Mexican trucking issue?
Well, first of all, I want to thank this committee in particular for your leadership in helping us get an appropriations bill that did not have the prohibitory language that created the necessity, unfortunately, or by which Mexico levied the retaliations. I was in Mexico just 2 weeks ago and had a conversation with my colleague as well as President Calderon about this. President Obama has asked Secretary LaHood, as you know, to help us move forward to see if we can't work with congressional leadership now to come up with an acceptable program to get this resolved. But I know it is having a very negative impact, particularly on many of our agricultural industries in California and Washington and Texas. So we'd like to find a way to come up with an acceptable program so we can move forward.
Well, I know the administration has said exports are a key part of our economic agenda, and I think the Chamber of Commerce estimates that this dispute has cost us somewhere between around $2.6 billion and 25,000 American jobs. And I think if it continues, I know in my state it will cost us more. So
it has not been a positive for our trade policy.
Yes.
We want to get it resolved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator.